Came from somewhere. Okay, so we'll get started. I know it's the last session of the day, so we're just going to power through it. Then we'll pass out at the end. And then you, I think one, then we have the cloud. Yeah. Okay. So
talk fast.
So most of this is my specs. So most of these work items are going to be mine, or I've already split them off. Last cycle, this was like really huge, so I've split that up into separate things. So we'll just cover them real quick. World Tour, that's basically what shows we're going to hit, where we're doing Ubuntu. We already had a separate session. For this calendar year, we're basically done. The only thing left to do, don't forget, deadline for Lisa 12 next week.
Yep.
For appeal. So that's just note on their separate spec or something.
Did we ever find out about your Python? So I've got a talk accepted, but I'm not sure I'm going.
Okay.
Can someone else want to step up for it? Or?
Okay, so first work item, George to investigate EuroPython.
That was already in the World Tour work items too.
Greek island.
That's it?
Oh, it's already a work item?
It was in the World Tour.
Okay, so drop it. Okay, I have it already.
Do we have that one?
What's the attendance on Santorini?
Okay.
Santorini Python.
Going deep instead of shallow, the other ones,
Python.
I want to skip those and come back to them. Bust out the charm schools. So virtual charm schools first. So we had a lot of participation from the webinar. Like I was really surprised on how much stuff we had there, and they're already on me. So my first work item is we'll do another webinar this cycle. So George, another webinar this cycle. George, I want to experiment with a Google Hangout this time because now we have Google Hangouts streaming, whatever, and I want to use the hell out of that. In fact, I think that along with the BOB charm would be excellent. I remember you had to do some things.
Yeah, I'll get that back in shape. I don't remember what I had to do, but yeah,
Okay.
It took half an hour or so.
Okay, so MIMS fixed the BOB classroom charm.
Yeah.
Again?
Mark minus MIMS.
Is it broken again?
I don't remember what it was. It was Juju classroom that I took from BOB classroom.
MIMS do what?
Fix the BOB, the Juju classroom charm.
Yeah, there was. Well, they're playing a bunch of
Yeah, that was like an early charm. All the early ones are. No, they're not bad. I'm just saying. It was back when.
some of them need a little TLC.
Actually, that one, the classroom charm, the BOB classroom charm plus the mumble charm,
Right.
is actually kind of cool.
So we might have a mumble charm.
Yeah.
However, that's an entry in the contest, so we'll discuss that at meeting. Case submitted a mumble server charm that lets us.
Cool.
Yeah. What?
Did we have Mumble already?
Well, we have TeamSpeak. Yeah, that's what we have.
Yep.
So, but we'll have to see how that works compared to Google Hangouts.
The one thing about that, we use Hangouts all the time. Hangouts, the limitation with that on the command terminal is the granularity of the passing compressed JPEGs around the way a Hangout works. It's video essentially.
Right.
It's not nearly as high res as an SSH session.
Well, if we use that in conjunction, that's why we use it in conjunction with the Juju classroom charm.
So the Hangout's just for
just faces accepting questions and
not the
stuff.
desktop.
Yeah, and then otherwise SSH in, or sorry, go to the Ajax term thing, and then
and I worked on scaling up the classroom charm too. We have some ideas.
Ooh, they have ideas. Okay, so that handles the virtual ones. The meet space ones are basically part of the world tour. Is there anybody here who's doing any local events that would like to just do a charm school in your area?
I already hit up most of my user groups.
Okay.
So I probably in past.
They've asked me to wait a while.
I am going up to Linux Lug in New York City at Google offices, but
Appeal Linux Lug.
I don't know. There'll be about 90 people. I don't know charm school is appropriate without separately setting that up as a separate event.
Okay.
I can volunteer space in Austin in the co-lead one, but I'm a little out of date to lead.
Okay, so
Robbie.
volunteer space. Thanks, Kazang. And with the activities in Austin, I think we can always do an
Oh,
ad hoc.
absolutely, yeah.
If you're visiting and stuff, hey, I need a spot. Perfect. Okay. So I'll put every time Mims is in Austin, talk to Kirkland.
Yeah.
So you have up there going deep, which I read this is going deep inside of shallow, but it's going deep instead of shallow.
Yeah. I'll get to that. I skipped those on
You're
purpose.
skipping that.
Yeah.
Okay, because
We're gonna
that's
go back to
be,
those. Yeah.
I think, important in this. Like, there's meetups for a bunch of different things like Node.js, Mongo, MySQL in LA, and I'd be happy to do the one that you're focusing on right now, so we can sort of enrich that whenever you're going deep on one of those services.
Okay. Well, I think you should be going anyway, right?
Mongo whenever you can. Hit those.
Okay.
I'll go to Mongo when it matters.
Clint, investigate LA language conferences.
Not so much language.
Investigate LA conferences. Marco?
So it's actually funny, Peel mentioned about local user groups. So I reached out to the DevOps group. I was like, I'd love to do like a Juju demo for you guys. And he was like, oh yeah, Peel came out in March, did for us already. So I was talking to him, he's interested in running a charm school as another session. So
Okay.
Awesome. I'm down for that.
2 months from now.
All right, so Marco,
Yeah.
DC Charm School.
I'll come out and hang out in the back.
Is that it?
Yep. That would help because if you can handle the Charm School load, you can. That would help out core as well. That works this out. We need you fresh. Put you in a little case or something.
Ecosystem.
Crowdsource.
That's good.
Anybody else interested? Oh,
Boulder!
Boulder!
Shabam.
We have a pretty active blog that recently just did a DevOps talk by some of the folks that used to do all that stuff when the Linux system admin handbook was written. So people really do.
What time frame are we thinking?
I don't know. I'm guessing that it's they've scheduled a bunch of things ahead of time. I don't know the schedule. I don't run it.
Okay, so just investigate Boulder.
Yeah.
So Neil McBurnett.
Boulder Linux Users Group is certainly one. What?
What's the ID?
Neil McBurnett, all one word. Or Neil McBee.
You are M-E-T-E-A-L.
I'll take it this time. Well, the whole thing.
Anybody else? James Page, you're hitting New York already. We already went over that. Anybody else? Anybody else? Then we have the official ones.
What specifically we're trying to enumerate?
Fifth time is the charm.
So we already have the list of events that we know we're going to be at. These are
I'm gonna
opportunities.
check. I'm gonna see what's going on in this area. There's always something going on, so I can.
Okay. So Juan, investigate Bay Area since he just moved here.
Congratulations.
Yes. Okay, so James Page.
Like EuroPython.
You want to do EuroPython? Oh, there you go. Okay.
You're in UK? You win.
Where's it at?
What?
Where is it?
It is in Florence, Italy in July. I will.
Twist his arm, he might go.
I'll tell the organizers and forward you information. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, there was one more I was thinking. Oh, he hasn't actually started working yet, so let's put this as tentative. Mark Ram, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah.
Ram, R-A-M-M.
Represent.
Check if there's a Google office. Rails kids, your favorite.
What? Investigate what? Ann Arbor, Michigan. What?
Charm schools, talks, etc., etc.
Charges. The sales of skinny jeans have spiked in Ann Arbor.
Dude, you see my new glasses?
Way better than Florence.
Very ruby. I just got an evil eye through ruby glasses.
3 ruby colored glasses.
Yeah, tentative. He's going to be like the engineering manager, depending on his workload and stuff. But we should definitely tag him because he's given talks at PyCon. So let's. He said he's more than happy to help share the load. Okay, those are opportunistic ones. Any other ones?
What else do you have on top this week?
What?
Anything that you may have on top that we may.
Yeah. So So, going deep instead of shallow. So, this is something that Mark is also interested in, other Mark, is we spent this first cycle making the charm store useful by increasing the number of charms, right? It was like number of charms going, as long as that number goes up, George is on fire. Unless the graph is wrong, but that's okay. But what we learned from the OMG experience and things like that is that there is an awesome story we can tell by focusing on one charm. A work item I want to take on immediately is I want to have a charm contest based on pick my service name. Pick my Hadoop, pick my whatever. What do you think? So instead of having to say pimp, you know, pick my Drupal, pick my charm.
You just Google
pick my
that.
charm.
Yeah.
So
That works pretty well.
yes. So I'm going to run this. The question I need service ideas. Any charms or we specifically need. So I would like to do the databases.
PostgreSX.
Okay.
MySQL cluster or stuff.
Start. Yeah. Postgres.
I know you're a hater.
I am.
PostgreSX. Or would that be the same charm?
It's PostgreSX. It's a separate charm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's separate.
So PostgreSX, MySQL.
-XC.
SC, is that it?
X.
X-ray.
Like cluster or cross cluster.
MySQL needs help, right? You're always complaining about that one.
Are you gonna take my
What
SQL?
about like Redis and Cassandra and stuff like that?
Yeah, but those are also traditionally more boring in service.
How's the Cassandra charm?
Yeah.
Cassandra charm hasn't really seen much.
Love, yeah.
Cassandra?
That would be a good focus.
And we're actually, I know there's some interest in Canonical looking at it. So
Okay.
What about a MySQL cluster charm?
Yeah, it's what.
yeah, I'd like to do that. That's kind of part of MySQL.
Thing
So,
to,
okay.
right.
And actually, I know Brandon's interested in looking at cluster specifically.
Okay. He's not here, but I really think Brandon needs to be the Drupal guy.
Yeah.
And he's already submitted a pimped out Drupal.
Okay. What else? Is that too
I
many?
mean, the whole big top thing.
Um,
Talk about opportunity to pimp that out.
Because remember, because we also have to keep growing.
Because it's
the charm.
about, it's not about just the charm, it's about the story around the charm.
Yeah, it's like
Right.
the app on top of it. I like the idea of starting with making the databases just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievably scalable. Especially the scale out story around the databases really sucks right now.
Right.
So we need to make that better.
Whoopsie Hadoop.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie Hadoop. So using Hadoop to do whoopsie binding to talk about bugs. And error
Oh,
reports,
Ubuntu's
things
whoopsie.
like that. Yeah.
Ooh, write that down.
So
Like
educational
that?
data
Running
mining.
like that?
Yeah. Whoopsie
Educational
Hadoop.
data mining is sexy. We can get access to some educational data.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. We just never did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we do some, I don't want educational data mining.
I think we should also, we haven't really dove into monitoring much in
Okay.
Charm Store yet.
Yes.
So-
We should
Reconnoiter.
just pimp the hell out of like Reconnoiter or something, like make it
Yeah.
like,
What do you guys think?
We
Just to
actually have
deploy
a
your
whole
report.
session on like, oh, do we still?
what?
Intelligent infrastructure, did I get?
I don't know.
We've got some stuff, but it's on just collecting and using SEP
Yeah.
for
But
data
let's
processing.
just
That's
put-
a separate topic.
let's-
But
yeah.
Reconnoiter is huge.
In general, yeah.
Union, getting that cleaned up. I think this needs to get a little bit
Sensu
deeper.
is still a great story for monitoring, especially with OpenStack.
So when, forgive me, I don't even know this, when you do that, do you then associate the two of them and it knows to monitor this one?
You just associate it to the service.
So there's a notion of subordinate, so it actually lives in the same place.
Never manually configured navigate.
Right, yeah.
So does anybody know? Does anybody know the guys who are behind the hash monitoring sucks discussions? They're always on Twitter. They do conference tracks and all that stuff. Okay. George, investigate.
Can we put the some monitoring stuff up on there?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Yeah. Investigate fixing monitoring.
I don't want to call it fixing, like,
Investigate.
Just monitoring, like let's just
Pin-based
let's get
monitoring.
a deep
Yeah.
dive into monitoring, like get two people charming two different monitoring systems
Okay.
for 2 weeks.
So we know we definitely want
But I mean,
reconnoiter.
I don't know, is that really the place, or is this the place to capture all this too? Because we want to talk about storage, we want to talk about all sorts of stuff this cycle.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do
storage
it.
is a big.
So wait for this one. Monitoring. Put down sensu.
How do you spell it?
SENSU. Reconnoiter.
Recon.
Just put recon. What was the one you just mentioned?
I mentioned something.
We
They
need
collect
a,
D?
we need a
Collect D.
collect D Munin.
Nagios.
Munin needs some
Munin.
love, I think.
Munin needs-
We
I
have
think we
it.
could actually.
Ganglion needs love.
I personally think we could probably get rid of Munin. It's a great, it's a simple system, but it does not scale beyond 100 nodes. Period. It does not.
Even Munin too.
So
So I
I've
can
been
put you
told
down for it?
Munin's model is broken. I haven't investigated it, but it's just because the polling,
Just assign them
single
what
threaded
values.
polling.
Yeah, I figured.
Like even cacti when they were single threaded, then they failed too. Like you just have to have groups that kind of push back, like stats D.
Yes, ganglia. We need ganglia.
He's taking it.
Okay.
But I don't want to get too wide. See, we've already gotten really wide at monitoring.
Yeah.
Like I kind of want to pick 2.
Okay.
And just, if people want to go crazy with ganglia, Munin and stuff, but I think we should just pick 2 that are like reconnoiter and collect D and just say, these are
The
awesome.
thing about collect D though is that you end up plugging it into something else.
I know.
You
Yep.
never
Same with
like
like
do it.
Yeah. So why not use
Not
like
by
a
itself.
tried true classic?
Charms to pimp deeply.
Nagios,
Yes.
Let's not debate which one.
Yeah, Nagios,
Yeah.
I find, I've seen the most deployments of Nagios.
Nagios or Isingo would be good to get into.
Well, I guess
So maybe we should pick, if we're gonna pick 2, pick the classic Nagios.
Yeah.
Feel one that we think is new and sexy.
Recon.
Recon.
Reconnoiter.
Yeah.
Or sensu.
Everything on the hot and hairy thing we had
Yeah.
before, all of that applies still, but
Yeah.
we don't need to walk.
We just want to pick one.
We
So
just-
let's-
so take off collect D, take off Munin.
So with these, is there going to be a way for them to plug it into an existing?
Correct.
Yes.
That would be,
As a support.
and that's the thing that's not necessarily easy to do in a casual, oh, I'm going to charm up Nagios to get that right. And that's what we want to do where we're going deep into it. Like, let's get the monitoring story
Right.
just so
We don't want
awesome
to
that-
apt-get install Nagios and you're done. We want big options. We want
Yeah.
to make sure that when
We want that third monitoring charm when somebody's like, man, Nagios is fine and Reconnoiter's cool, but I want to do X, Y, Z, that they'll already know how to do it because this one's already been done
Right.
Because right now what we have is people are copying these really shallow charms.
Yeah.
And going, hey, look, I charmed something, and we're like, oh, it could have been so much more.
Yeah, yeah.
An example
So
of that
this is setting better examples.
Postgres
really, that
installs a
takes-
So do we still want Sensu on here?
I say Nagios and Reconnoiter.
Yeah. I
Marcos,
think
you said so you can do it.
Well, the thing is, we're trying to convince them. I don't think we've convinced them yet. So
Trying to-
let's do recon and then maybe show them this is what we need.
Okay.
So let's drop Sensu for now. Then when we go deep
Yeah,
on recon, we can say,
recon.
hey guys,
Recon.
remember us from 9 months ago? This is what we were talking about, and now we actually are shipping something.
Has anyone done it? Are they in?
No.
In the weeds.
They have Debbie and Pat. You did.
Okay.
You too. You,
Not
you and James
precise,
both what gave it some love and put it in a PDA
Precise.
for me.
Recon Reconnoiter?
All right, how much time do we have left?
Somebody.
Oh, we got
set
like
up
30
daily
minutes.
PBS.
Oh, we have a half hour. Okay.
I set up the PPA, I built it for engineering, not precise. I was asking, has anyone done it for precise?
It's worth
Do I need
noting
to?
Yeah,
there
okay, no,
that
at all.
James Westby is working on the stats D graphite, which is also in that space.
It is.
You
Okay.
just noted there, like after Reconnoiter,
Tell him.
well, many of us could have it. I could open it.
So when you built it, did you actually run it or install it or?
Yeah.
in any? Okay.
That was on air,
Okay.
not precise.
And after Nagios and recon, just leave a note. James Westby is working on stats D. And what else?
And graphite.
And graphite.
Oh, did he pick those with them?
Yeah, he was just working
Working
on
on
the
what,
chart
George?
right now.
On stats D and graphite.
It's just
Yeah.
something to look at while that effort's going on.
Graphite?
Security proxies, like mod security.
Okay.
I'd like to see at least somebody dive into that.
Okay. So maybe.
And there's also somebody else is working on one called like Nixie or something like that. It's like an Nginx security firewall.
Do we want having security people? do these things and then we investigate as well.
Well, yes and no. Let's make that one for targeted at beta 2. Maybe by then we'll have ACLs.
Okay. So George, investigate, deep dive. Let's call these deep dives. That sounds way cooler than I get in my. So deep dives.
Could we call them
Investigate, deep
deep dives?
Security tools. So ideas here are, let's pick 2 security tools.
Oh, so we were also talking about some, like it's old school. Nessus is the old school one, but something
Metasploit.
like that, like Metasploit or something, where you can like deploy it to scan your architecture.
Encryption.
Oh, we'll get to you, bud. We'll get to you.
But like we were just talking about this with Jamie, like if there was something we could deploy
Yeah.
and then point at our charms to see if they're
Security
vulnerable.
tools. Do comment. Talk to Jamie or Case. I'm sure Case would love to write. He's becoming pretty prolific charm.
Yes.
When you find out.
Value spell?
KEES.
So bad I called you Steve. That sounds really good.
What's your name's at 9?
Yeah.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, security
Try and
guy.
find some sushi.
Anything sexy we can do with encryption?
Break
Well-
it with Metasploit.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be.
Okay.
I missed the charm store discussion, but I was curious how commercial charms were moving along. We've got an encryption product that fits underneath any of the databases that can be charmed.
That'd be awesome.
We'd like it to be, a configurable option to add on.
Sure.
like encryption.
So we actually have our first commercial charm submitted,
Okay.
New Relic PHP.
Okay.
It deploys a daemon that does nothing without a key from upstream.
Okay.
So
That's sort of how we work.
It's awesome, yeah,
For it
like,
to be useful.
it's actually a very similar service, just not in the security space.
We've got devs packaged in our archive, which is separate from the normal
Okay.
archive.
That's
So,
exactly how New Relic works.
Kirkland, package up all his products.
Yeah, like you just have a config
Yeah,
option.
as long as you're
Your
getting
key.
my number right. Or whatever you want.
All right.
Try to split them up.
Yes.
Well, that takes care of encryption. Any other crazy ideas we can do?
How about around the Hadoop one? It's like a Hadoop derivatives. Which
Yeah.
is what we do.
Yeah.
Mapper and Cloudera and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But it's become down there.
Perhaps even just enhancing the current Hadoop. I know that there's open stuff for like Pig and Hive has landed, not really, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
there's Hadoop as a service providers coming out. Like they put Jim's Iron Fan that you could totally charm.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see us. I think we're going to deep dive into Hadoop. We already have.
Yeah.
This is probably
That's unquestionable.
the area we're the deepest.
Yeah, actually,
Hadoop, so.
it's one of those things where it's so like important to do Hadoop that it's kind of off
It's
my
not-
radar.
it's kind of
Because I have
obvious,
you
yeah.
and Robert and stuff basically.
You know, I'd say that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a lot of stuff to deep
Yeah.
dive into. So
Yeah.
unless
Well,
somebody
we don't
else
have to.
wants
So
to do it.
these work items are investigating, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we come back, we say, you know what, the security one will be cute, but it's not going to get us as good a value as doing, monitoring. I want to do monitoring because
Monitoring is critical.
everyone hates monitoring. Yeah.
And having a SQL story that can horizontally scale is also critical. So
Yeah.
that's why I
So,
like Postgres 6.
add a work item for me, George, to talk to Josh Burkus at Postgres and get them institutionally interested in Juju.
And it's important, I think this is not just deep in the charm itself, it's the chart, that's the whole stack.
Right, right,
So these are mature stacks of services centered around these charms.
right, right. That brings me to my second point, which is getting upstreams to care about their charms. So I think automatically by default, write this down, but it's not a work item. Automatically by default, when we do these deep dives, I should be expected to talk to the upstream mailing list, work with them if they're interested, so I could say, hey, I'll get you on cloud.ubuntu.com or whatever if it helps your project. A lot of these are connected to like commercial entities that you know, or like the canonical version for Ubuntu same relationship. So like there's no reason we can't, somebody can't do joint press releases and all that kind of stuff. So I need to do due diligence on all of that when, if a sensu or whoever.
In getting the word out, we still have a lot of people who just haven't heard of what the hell it is. They have no clue.
Yeah.
There are a lot of conferences that are rejecting charm schools because the charm schools are pretty heavy commitment for them.
Right.
But they wouldn't reject talks. So
Right. So that's kind of a dual problem where
quite a bit more of that to do. Still.
Right. So a lot of that.
We're not past that hurdle.
Yeah. The problem I've had with that is like, oh, Canonical sponsoring the conference, so you get a keynote, and then it ends up being someone like Mark. But then we get the free room, so we might as well run a charm.
Sure.
So maybe we should consider.
But there are ones where it's like, yeah, I mean.
Maybe we should consider subsidiary intro talks. Like we learned. Actually, we learned this lesson on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come see all your charms. Like we started having charm sessions. People would show up. He's like, dude, I just want to know what it is. And I ended up scheduling a session after the fact. What exactly is Juju?
Right. And that's at UDS.
We did that at scale, right? Although I have to say, as a conference organizer, when you see, oh, there's going to be a charm school, oh, there's going to be intro, and you're kind of like, are they covering the same content? Is it worth having two?
Okay.
And we managed to do both, but I'm saying, like, that might not always happen.
So George,
And we get a lot of rejections for it because people just haven't heard of it.
Well, I'm just saying, in terms, the rejections would be more if you are doing a charm school to do a beginner session as well.
Right.
There seems to be, you just need to make sure that when you're submitting the proposal, you make it clear that they're complementary, not.
Right. So George, make sure beginner sessions are out there. Basically, you don't want a charm school in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have this. We used to have these ideas. It's like you'd be all hacking and Juju hacking.
Well, or there's almost like a stage of this where you inform people, you show people what it is, you give them an intro to it and stuff like that. But then it's almost like the charm school has to happen the following year or something.
Right.
I don't know how to make that happen, but we're definitely feeling that.
Yeah.
A charm school and an intro talk is like cramming it down the throat.
Yeah.
For the conference.
Now that,
No, you just want to organize something that
Right. It's like, dude, you just told me about this thing. I'm like, is your charm done? Is your charm done?
Yeah. Well, in some, when you do it,
And then people want to fight you.
a panel, an Ignite talk, and a charm school, they're like, by the end of it, they're feeling very,
They need a process.
well, it's not, but it's also, they're feeling very commercialized.
Yeah, like they've been
Like
sold,
we've been selling
even though
it or
it's very
something.
clean.
It's not a sales thing.
They,
It's
they
just,
pay with their
we're trying
time.
to inform you about it. Yeah.
It's open source.
Well, it might be worthwhile that instead of having two separate sessions, say this is going to be a 2-hour block to talk about Juju, and then most of the times as you talk about Juju, it naturally progresses to becoming a charm school.
I think just the notion of the fact that it's still a process, right?
Right.
You really do need to hit them first with an intro talk.
Right.
So
How
another
about how we
idea.
did it at OpenStack?
OpenStack went great.
Yeah.
That was perfect. We had.
OpenStack is the epitome of the
It
perfect
really
charm
is.
school.
Because we had
No,
a demo
it's
of some
not.
kind.
People are already interested in it. I'm talking about conferences where people don't know what the hell it is. They have no clue what it offers them.
So a lot of people had no idea what Juju was at OBS. So because it wasn't the developer summit, we did it at the conference, the OpenStack conference.
Okay.
So
Right.
people were coming in like, I've heard of OpenStack, I want a cloud, or
I
what is
just
the
saw
cloud
Mark's
provider?
keynote. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw
Okay.
Mark's keynote.
What does that mean?
And he said Juju, and there's this Juju Charm School thing, and I went over there.
Right.
And the idea
That's-
is, I think the key there, what made it work so well, is you had plenary, a keynote,
Right.
and then Charm School. And we had the same thing at UDS in Orlando. We had very large shouting about it,
Mhm.
and then an intimate experience.
Okay.
That,
So let's
that seems to
Start
work.
We
the
are-
question in the head. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then charm school's there.
So,
So it's pretty much backwards to what we said a few minutes ago. Don't do the intro and then the charm school. Do
No, nobody
some sort
said
of a
that.
talk where you say, you know, those.
we did kind of
Get
say
them
that.
all-
No.
Do an intro, get them wondering what it is.
Right.
Inquisitive. How does that work?
Right.
I want to learn
It's still a
about
charm school. We're just saying it should be charm elementary school instead of charm algebra school.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, you know?
What I think Elon was saying was, don't make them 2 hours of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Make sure it's very clear to organizers.
It's all about
Intro,
the description. I'm sure the content that you're doing is perfect. It's making, like, you got a committee of guys that are looking at like 80 or 100 sessions. You just make it obvious.
Make it obvious
That
that
is-
one, that they're connected, and two, that one is intro and the other one is deep.
Yeah.
And
So-
then they send
Has to
some messages,
precede
intro to
So Mark is doing the keynote at OSCON, and basically we can,
The Lake Glucon's a perfect case for this, and I don't, they didn't accept the charm school.
did they accept the talk?
I don't know yet.
Do you have a lightning talk?
No.
So we also
Maybe-
don't have
maybe
to
we
have
decided
to be
to go
accepted.
Too far, too fast with charm schools before
Well,
getting the word
that's
out.
what I'm thinking, we're trying to push charm schools, and no, we just need to push,
Do it
letting people
first.
know what the hell it is.
Right, okay.
I mean, that,
So-
that's,
Push
So,
push
Paul,
the
you can,
virtual
you
charm
know,
school.
yeah, push for web.
combine
So you're
it.
doing, so charm school isn't teaching you how to do a charm, it's actually getting them to write charms themselves.
No, it is teaching you how to do a charm, but
It's never the same.
before you want to learn how to write a charm, you're like, what the hell's Juju? What does this give me?
We're not sure what charm school is.
Yeah, that's it all.
We've had
Should we at some point try to establish more or less of a guideline of how a charm school should go, so we can have
we have
a
that.
thought process on it? We're gonna have people doing it in different places and different audiences, and I'm gonna just go to San Francisco and find places and
See,
start talking.
So
Yeah.
we have that written down, but I think that would suck.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
if you're gonna go, you know exactly what Juju is and you know how to explain it to people, and I don't wanna be like, I have to use the official charge slides. I
No.
want
Yeah,
you
no,
to get up there and
use
yell
the
the
slides.
slides. I want him to be all clean.
I'm just-
You know, this is a good thing, we don't want it to look so regimented and instrumented, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Conversation.
here's a dude just like me, who's like really passionate about this, he's gonna explain it to you.
So maybe just some guidelines of like what's an intro class versus what's an intermediate versus
Yeah.
what's an advanced. So like
Yeah.
maybe like an intro class, get up, tell people what it is. Intermediate class, maybe you do a little bit of a hands-on. Like the advanced classes, let's sit down, let's build some actual charms together. I'll hold your hand, like a charm hackathon.
Right.
type thing.
And in all the contexts in which we've talked about this and planned this, we have made the absolute assumption, which is a great assumption and it's great and we're energetic about it, but we made the absolute assumption that they want a full 2-hour charm school
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And that is so not the case from what we've been
You know though,
finding.
Right.
we have made that assumption, and we've gone in with willing to let go of it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done, I think, 5 charm schools now. They've all been totally different.
Yeah.
Right.
We had the one in Orlando, which was like, holy crap, 70 people are like just sat down with their laptops. Well, let's teach them how to write charms, and Mark would taught them how his charm worked and stuff. And then we've had a couple where standing room only, like the one at Scale, where we had already
Scale.
given an intro, and the next day we had a charm school, and it was like standing room only. It turned into a talk.
I want to do a standing room only charm
And,
school.
and then we had the SV one where we invited specific people, and we had like 10
Aren't you a
people,
lecturer by trade?
and it was definitely more of a class. Like
That's something that we could probably
Good news is
investigate.
that people don't care.
You wanted, you were talking about the commercial charms?
Yeah.
In this area, you have a good opportunity to start cherry picking some of the people that you want to talk to and invite them into a charm
Yeah.
school, so you can be very technical and very targeted to what is that
That'd be cool.
Because they would all be getting paid to do the charms that they
Right.
invite
Right.
only.
And we also have to remember when we're committing to these charm schools that we still want to do the, hey, you know, I'm a company or I'm a project or something, and I need a charm school like we did the QA team
Yep.
when we did Jenkins. That was you, right?
Yeah.
Who did Jenkins?
Oh, yeah,
with
no,
QA?
that was me. That was
They're
me.
already deploying it.
Yeah.
Like a week later, they're using Juju for Jenkins. Sweet.
Yeah.
Maybe a white belt, black belt.
Yeah.
for your
I
jiu-jitsu.
think that's the perfect case. Right?
It's worth writing that down. We should probably have different types of charm schools.
But it's so hard to gauge. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
walk in.
you
Then
won't know
it's
until
like-
you get there.
Yeah.
It turned
Yeah.
out to be. Well, here's
Yeah, it's like, wait, this was supposed to be this kind of school, and it's turning into this.
The only
kind
charm
of-
schools I've given
Well,
were
that's
IRC
fine,
or
right?
people that
If
didn't.
you're having an advanced class and you walk in and everybody's a beginner, well then, like, as a teacher, you say,
You deal with that.
you deal with that. You have
Right, that's what I'm saying, just call them charm schools,
Yeah.
and everyone here is
Yeah.
given enough where we know how to adapt, so
Sure.
why,
Right.
let's not overthink it.
That's,
Yeah.
that's not. I
Okay.
agree, and just deal with your venue and your audience. I think that's fine.
Yep.
Okay, what else we got? Dude, that's enough.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of shit.
You want to fix the workflow processes?
So, workflow processes was a separate session.
Yeah, we already did that.
And we're looking at that stuff. And
Have to
one thing I wanted to remind everyone is now that we have a Mac client, you need to mention that explicitly in your talk as much as it pains you clean. Actually,
I
you
love
own
it.
an Apple.
Do we have tests built for that?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can run the regular
Failing a
tests,
few
but they'll fail some.
Bugs pop up recently about it to improve.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually need to, like, at some point, defining what we expect to work as client, what we expect to work as server bits, because the same problem exists with like Lucid users, where the client works actually perfectly fine. It might not now because of TXT kicker, but it fails all the tests just because there's some Python 2.7 and stuff, and that's an upstream problem. But the OS X client works fine.
Okay, so that should hopefully
and
open a new.
Yeah, that's hopefully temporarily too. Like I think when there's a REST API, this will be like silly. There'll be 10 clients.
Okay.
In 10 languages.
At least 5 in Ruby.
Okay, that's it. If we keep going, we're gonna overassign ourselves.
All right.
Smoke if you got 'em.